put the Hackett thing right after that?
Yep.
Okay, then I got our best bets, both college and pro. Then I got top 5 bowls that we're looking forward to, and I have them in order, by the way.
So do I.
And then I have our 93s. And I'm doing like, you know how sometimes I'll do strange news, but it's actually about college basketball.
Mm-hmm.
So it could even be like a minor discussion point. Like, you know, it doesn't have to, it's in the closing, so we don't really get into it too much, but you can comment, obviously. So
okay.
That's all I got, right?
That's it, bro. That's it.
Cool. Okay, let me we're here. All right, let's fire this up.
Excellent.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to Bump and Run. I'm Pete Colasano, joined as always by my good friend Scott Bracey. What's going on, dude?
Good afternoon, buddy. After Christmas, we both have our patriotic flags on in a little different way here.
America.
I like it.
Yes. So
how are you? How are you feeling after that ugly Thursday night game that you called on the show last week?
I'm sure we'll discuss it in depth, but I wasn't surprised, although I was maybe surprised to the depths of which Zach Wilson has fallen, which we'll get into, and some of the reports. And there are reports and there are reporters. And when the right reporters give you a report, then you're like, oh boy. I was talking with a friend this weekend saying, I think there's more to this than any of us realize. It has to be. So we'll get into that. So why don't we get right to it? NFL.
Why don't we get right into it? Jets, Jaguars last Thursday night. Go ahead, bro. Take the floor.
Listen, as has been the case most of the year, the Jets defense played pretty well. You're starting to see teams know and play that you can dink and dunk against the Jets. Like they're taking away the deep stuff, they're taking away the big plays, but they'll let you have the underneath stuff. Now, in the end, what'd they give up? 19 points?
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest, dude. As an NFL team with the rules, the way the league is set up now, you'll take 19 every week. If you could guarantee your team to give up 19 points every week, you would sign up for that. So again, even though it wasn't the best defensive performance by the Jets defense, it's still pretty goddamn good. So that aside, Zach Wilson gets benched late in the third quarter, midway through the third quarter, whatever you want to say. And it's ugly, dude. So then, it's bad. I can't, what the hell? Streveler? I couldn't even tell you his first name. Think
sounds
about
good
that.
to me. Yeah.
It's like your fourth string quarterback at this point, basically. He comes in, actually injected a little excitement, drove him down the field. They went for it on fourth down for a touchdown, didn't get it. He's not, that's not the answer or anything like that. But, the big news was that Mike White cleared health protocols, whatever the hell it was. So he'll be starting, and they have him listed as a starting quarterback for the rest of the season, barring injuries. Joe Flacco's the backup, and Zach Wilson will be inactive. And then the real news was Jay Glazer came out. I think even before, if I'm not mistaken, before Mike White was announced as the quarterback for the rest of the season and that he's healthy, Jay Glazer comes out and says the Jets are done with him. They've had it. Now, I know everybody says, well, duh, but you have to understand how this league works. Now, again, we're going to get into salary cap and rookie contracts and shit like this. But if you're a first round pick in the NFL, your contract is more or less your first 4 years are guaranteed.
Yep.
That's $35 million guaranteed plus, and $22 million of that was signing bonus. So that's all guaranteed money. If you cut him, that's a big cap hit. Let's not forget, I'm kind of done with him too. But as I said to you last week, he's relatively cheap, to have on the team. He's expensive to get rid of. He's cheap to have on the team as a backup quarterback. So that's why I said to you, I just don't see them getting rid of him. And it's only his second year. Now, lots happens in the offseason. Guys redirect. They change their mind. Shit, look at Baker Mayfield right now with the Rams. The right timing, the right players, the right coach, a change in attitude, as you've mentioned a number of times, a little humble pie on Baker's part.
Yep.
You can change. Guys change. We're seeing Geno Smith. We're even seeing Sam Darnold play pretty well here and there. When things are right, you'd be surprised. And I really don't look at Zach Wilson as like a malcontent. But I have to acknowledge, if Jay Glazer of Fox Sports is making this report, he's he doesn't like just throw shit up against the wall and see what sticks. Like he's on. He's got sources.
Yeah.
I still would be surprised if Zach Wilson's not on the team next year, but it's bad, dude. I've never seen anything like this. He's in the second year of a 4-year guaranteed contract.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
1998, young man Ryan Leaf. He got more of a shot than this, didn't he?
I don't remember how long he played, but the rules were different then too. The rookie contracts were different. So I don't think, but I think he had at least 3 years. Everybody gets at least 3 years. And this is why I said, like, wow. I was talking to someone this weekend and I said, there's more going on here than any of us even have a clue. Because I said, this guy, as I said to you, like this guy was voted by the players as a team captain in the preseason. We talked about how he took a bunch of his receivers and tight ends to a getaway to throw and to have fun and to bond, and they loved them. I mean, you remember all the glowing reports we're hearing from teammates and Garrett Wilson, who fucking hates him now. Like, this is something else happened. Something happened that we don't know about, and it's way worse than we ever suspected. And it's clearly in the locker room. I don't think this is just like mechanics. Like, I think this goes beyond mechanics. You don't just do this because the guy's got shit mechanics. You just say, hey, let's do the best we can for the rest of the season, and we'll work on that in the offseason. You don't fix this shit in season.
I mean, there's been some bad picks, but this seems like a fucking disaster, man. Like,
and you know what's worse?
And it does look like I know they're in a playoff situation spot, base kind of, but they just don't look like they play for him. Like,
no, for sure. Yeah, it's
which is bizarre, man.
This is what I'm saying. There's got to be a lot more going on there. I don't know what else to say to that, because it would all be just guessing at this point of what it could be. But it's a lot worse. It's a lot worse. And I assume once he's gone, somebody somewhere will leak it of what actually was going on. And I can't even fathom what it is. Every report that I had seen was that he's a hard worker, shows up early, stays late. I don't know, but this is really kind of unprecedented territory. He's a second overall pick. Teams just don't, even like Jamarcus Russell, I don't think they gave up on him.
No, he had some years, definitely.
Remember also, like Zach Wilson missed 4 games last year and 3 or 4 games this year. So we're talking 7, 8, 9 games that he's missed in the last 2 years. So he hasn't even played a full 2 years. And one of the things you remember that I pointed out to you, which made me nervous, was that when he got hurt this year, that he missed, was more or less the last 2 weeks of camp. And I thought that was plus the regular season, but it was that camp time that really bothered me, because that's when you work out the shit, you know? But this is just very odd, and it's kind of sad.
It is sad, because, you know, when Strevler went into the game, the cheer.
Yeah.
That's just like,
when you're getting booed at home, dude, it's really, because even now, if he were to come in because of injury or whatever and just play average, he's going to get booed. You know what I mean? Like, there are a couple places in the league right now that, like, if you play bad, even if you play mediocre, not bad, just mediocre, you're going to get booed.
Yeah,
like Indianapolis, Denver, Washington, like, because, you know, we'll talk about this, but Wentz is going to be starting again. Like, you know, when that quarterback sits, nobody's booing the safety. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's booing the running back.
Yeah.
If your team and
the right tackle,
if they don't have confidence in your quarterback, man, it's bad news. And it's just, you know what it is too? And maybe this is why, maybe it's just as simple as this. Maybe this is whether it's bad karma. You just can't have that negative feeling. You know, I think that the center's name is McGovern.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's even come out and said that he hasn't played particularly well the last few weeks. He's like, I have not, you know, played well. Nobody cares. Nobody's calling for the center's head. Right. Here's a guy who's flat out saying it, like, I'm not playing well. And everybody's like, yeah, but Wilson. You know, that's the nature of the beast, man. That's why you get 30, 40, 50 plus $1 million a year. That's the deal. So, you know, it's something.
Here, I was listening to Boomer and Gio this morning. They're on vacation. So Jerry Recco and Sal Licata were replacing them. And, you know, do you remember Joe Benigno?
Of course.
Joe
huge
retired,
Jets fan.
He retired a couple years ago, but he came in today. He was gonna sub in for 10 o'clock for them to show after, and he had like a little like a one segment with them, and he was going on and on. He goes, like, yeah, huge Jet fan, and knowledgeable and knows what he's talking about, and
probably has sources in there too.
And he goes and listen. He goes, listen, you're 7-4. At one point, you're thinking, oh, maybe holiday season, a couple days before Christmas, Jets Jaguars. There could be a blowout game. It could be like, let's go.
We were counting that as a win.
Let's bring the family. Let's have a good. Then it's a fucking miserable, rainy, windy night. It's like a December day in North Jersey. The Jets absolutely stink it up, and it's like we're spending good money on this shit. The product is just gone right to the.
Yeah, and the one interception that he had. I think it's not. This one was like a microcosm of all of them. Like it was so bad. He like just kind of lofted it up and chucking. It makes me look and I say he's not reading defenses. He just sees a guy and tosses it, and that's bad. I mean, these are the kind of things we've kind of given shit to guys like Justin Fields for. Like you can, if your first guy isn't there, you're kind of screwed. This is, believe me when I tell you, this is the hardest part about playing quarterback on any level. Every high school quarterback knows where your first read is. Like, okay, safety went this way. I'm finding the second guy. I'm finding my first guy, hit him in the hole. Perfect. But when that first guy isn't there, when the read doesn't work out, and you got to now locate your second read, see if he's open. Did the defense? It's hard. I mean, this is the hardest part of the game. Anticipation and timing. Like this is really what it comes down to. When we say stuff like decision making, we talk about quarterbacks and we say decision making. You have to remember these decisions are being made in about 3.5 seconds. And you're covering your eyesight is covering like a 55-yard wide span with guys moving at 100 miles an hour, trying to trick you at the same time. Make you think they're going one way when they're going another. Like. Right. It's a lot. It's hard. This is why I've said to you so many times when we talk about Justin Fields, but it's the same with Zach Wilson. I'm not saying it's like I hate the kids. Like this is the reality of the sport. Like this is the hard part. Like your first guy's not open. Now what do you do? And this is what, frankly, Mike White doesn't have like half the talent that physical talent that Zach Wilson has. Doesn't have the arm. Doesn't have the legs. All of it. Okay, but he gets rid of the ball really fucking quick. He processes coverage really quick. How many times does he Mike White not throw to the right guy?
Right.
It seems like he's always throwing. He doesn't have the talent to always get it to him, but he's always throwing to the right guy.
And how many times do you see the wide receivers rant and rave with Mike White at quarterback?
Of course. Yeah, because if you're open, he finds you. I mean, there were throws in this last game where you're like, what the where the fuck was he throwing that? There was one.
I know.
I don't know if it was Garrett Wilson. And it could have been a communication error where Wilson could have – I don't think so. Zach Wilson kind of sidearmed it, and he missed them by 4 yards. And it's like, bro, come on. So I feel like if I had to guess, to me, that he just doesn't process fast enough. And that's a problem. And that's the stuff that I've said for, 3 years on this podcast now. I don't know how much better you get at that because that's just brain speed. Does your brain work fast enough for that? And I don't know – that his does that if that's something you can improve. I genuinely don't know. So it's just odd. It's rarefied air. This doesn't happen. Teams don't give up on young quarterbacks. Again, he's only his second year. And he hasn't even played a full 2 years. So,
well, a second overall pick that's not playing good to a guy that had a lot of bad stuff happen in the offseason and got a lot of money. Deshaun Watson and the Browns. Ooh, boy.
We'll score that game.
17-10. I think they're up 10-0 too.
Yeah, he's just not playing very well.
No.
And I guess as far as football, I'm never going to give him a pass, and I'll never root for him. But I guess we'll have to give him a pass on the football side of it until next season. But yeah, I hope it continues. I hope it continues, man. I don't like the way this whole thing was handled by the NFL. By the Browns. I hate what the Browns did. Like, you're rewarding this guy. This is what makes sports look ugly. This kind of stuff is what makes sports look ugly. Like, it should have been hard for him to get a gig. Instead, he gets the biggest guaranteed contract in history, and it's just gross. And unless you're a Browns fan, you think it's gross. And I don't blame you because I'm right there with you.
And there's some Brown fans that might think it's gross as well.
There probably are. At least 25% of them probably think it's kind of shitty and it looks bad on the organization. And here's the thing, it always will.
Yeah.
It'll not, even if you Imagine they do everything right. The GM does everything right. They get all the right players in there, and they go to the Super Bowl and win. There will still be a significant portion of the population, and some of them will actually be Browns fans that are like, this is bullshit. It's disgusting. It's an embarrassment, and I don't blame them.
Giants-Viking thriller in Minnesota.
What a game.
Dude,
yeah, what a game.
Giants, a little more offense than I thought was going to happen there. And then I tell you, we've said this for weeks now. Daboll knows what he's doing.
Yes.
They with no wide receivers.
It's amazing.
The Jones and Barkley seem to make plays when they're down and out of it. It's really incredible to watch. Honestly,
yeah. You got to give Daboll a lot of credit for a couple things. Number one, he has figured out. Listen, everybody who plays the Giants knows they're trying to get the ball to Barkley. They're just, any way possible they're going to get it. They hand it to him, throw it to him, whatever. But yeah, he still finds ways, especially late in the game, to get him the ball, which is big. And as you pointed out a few weeks ago, when I had asked you, like, are you starting to believe in Daniel Jones? Where I wasn't. You're like, yeah, I'm really starting to see like him be a player. And I felt in this game he looked
like he belonged.
You're like in control.
Yeah.
Like genuinely in control. Maybe he even looked a little more confident, like it never looked like he was panicking or like he always felt, he just had this look like, here we go. We're in control, throwing the ball a lot better. Yeah. I mean, it's impressive. It's impressive on multiple fronts with this team. But I think, man, it just goes to show you there are some key components to building a great sports organization, right? And on all sports, like there are things you need.
Yeah.
They're different for each sport, but before in the NFL, man, you need the GM and you need the head coach. And if you don't have a great head coach, you better have a great quarterback. Like I'm thinking like with the Colts when Andrew Luck was there, like that team was not exactly very good, but Andrew Luck was so damn good that they were winning 11 games every year, even though the line was bad, the defense was bad, but somehow they're winning 11 games, which is crazy, right? So, but man, right now, you got the right head coach. There's just no question about it. And they're in every goddamn game. Every freaking game, dude.
Do you trust the Vikings at all in the postseason?
No. No, how could you?
I don't either.
How could you when they're literally in a one possession game every fucking game? Like that just becomes a coin toss.
I tell you though, Kirk or that coach has a rabbit's foot up his ass because it's like, how does this keep happening? How do they keep pulling these games out?
Well, I don't know. Is it because they have an offensive coach now? Because they've been in those positions before, and they usually lost those, and now suddenly they're winning them. What are they, 11-0 or no? It would be 11-1 now, right? In one possession games.
Who did they lose to? That was the one.
I don't know. Maybe they're 11-0, or are they 12-0?
Because the Vikings blew them out. I mean, the Cowboys blew them out. Your game, you should have had them too. Like, dude,
no, that's what I'm saying. There are a bunch of one possession games. It's crazy.
Wow.
Anyway,
the Bengals go out to 22-0 and almost blow the thing in New England. Mac Jones first half looked like he never played the position, and in second half he looks like Tom Brady. A little lucky on one touchdown, like a little Hail Mary thing, and then it got tipped into another guy's arms. But hey, listen, that happens. Patriots are a weird team, dude. Like,
very weird, dude. I'm sitting here like, what do you want to say about this?
I know.
Like, I guess the most you can say, and why, we were talking last week and we said, Belichick is kind of coming down to earth as like, oh, he's the greatest coach of all time. Well, without Tom Brady, he's kind of average, but still on that defensive side of the ball, dude. Like they clearly made some adjustments at halftime to shut down the Bengals. Like, really, this is one of the most explosive teams in the league.
Uche and Jodon are fucking killing it. Last couple months, they've been in the backfield all day long.
I know.
But their secondary, McCourty's 100. Like they've got no corners.
But to put a goose egg on Cincinnati,
yeah, no, definitely,
it's definitely. But listen, I think you brought it up last week, and the rumors are definitely swirling about Bill O'Brien coming back.
Yeah.
I think if that happens, this could be a very dangerous team. If they can make a couple moves on offense, for Christ's sake, I think this could be a very dangerous team. Yeah, because that defense is always going to be pretty good.
Correct. And I think, and then you put Patricia maybe on the other side of the ball again, and then you might have something there.
What's their record right now? What, 7-8?
I want to say 8-7, but I don't. You might be right.
I think
at
they're 7 and 8.
I
I
think
think
you
they're
might.
tied
Oh yeah,
with the
you're right.
Jets.
You are right. You're right.
But they have the tiebreaker against the Jets. I mean, think about this, dude. If they had any offense at all, they would probably be what would that be? 9-6?
6, yeah. 15.
And now you're genuinely you're in the playoffs because Miami, you probably are beating you're ahead of Miami. So I mean, that's just 2 games. That's not even like really great offense, just like 2 games better. So it's odd. Their decision. Listen, I don't care how good Belichick is. I will question the decision this year to not really hire an offensive coordinator. That bananas. Like whatever. That's just ego. I don't need that shit.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Okay.
The Tennessee Titans are a sinking ship.
What'd you text me?
I said, as soon as we started giving Vrabel some love, this guy is shitty pants, and they might fire the guy.
Dude, I mean, we spent almost like a whole segment just talking about Vrabel, and like this guy just always gets it done. They're always so physical. They can run the ball against anybody. How many games have they lost in a row now? Is it 4 or 5?
It's got to be 4, but it's probably 5 out of 6.
Oh my God, bad.
It's awful.
Just bad. And now, Tannehill's out,
right?
And what the hell's the kid's name? That's starting now.
Malik Willis.
I mean, dude, This is not a pro quarterback. I'm sorry. This is what I mean. You remember when I'll go back to the draft because we were right again.
Oh, dude,
he's a top 5 pick. I'm like, I'm not sure he's a top 5 round, 5th round pick.
Yeah, when you get picked in the 3rd round, 4th round,
He's come on.
But dude, they were so wrong on him. Oh my God.
And again, it's still early. He's a rookie, and as we both said, like there's a shitload of refining that would have to go on. He does have a strong arm, and he's clearly a great athlete. But come on, man. So they're stuck. They're stuck right now.
But that team is so set up for a guy like him to win. Run the ball, play action, Derrick Henry, and he's not.
No, it's not there.
Yeah,
it's not there. God.
And I remember talking to my Steeler buddies, and do we take Wilson 17? Is he still going to be on the board? And then Kenny Pickett falls in their lap. And now he's starting to look like he's figuring it out a little bit slowly.
Oh, he looks a lot better.
So we'll go into that in a minute. But Gardner Minshew, maybe the best backup quarterback in the league.
I told people.
Very impressive. A couple weird turnovers there late. Cowboys made some plays late on defense that get them in position. But you got to give Dak a little credit here. Dak made a fucking throw on 3rd and 30 to T.Y. Hilton, fresh off the streets.
Off the wire. Yeah.
Oh my God, man! I know you're not a big Dak fan, but even you could tip your hat when.
If a guy makes a great play, he makes a great play, and I thought he had a pretty good game, and he needed it. Listen, Minshew threw for like 350 yards and 3 touchdowns. I told people, they're like, some people were, which I look at this and I'm like, well, then you're a casual NFL fan. Like, who's Gardner Minshew? I'm like, Jesus Christ. But I told people, I said, I'm not saying he's going to have a big game. I said, but don't be surprised if he does. This guy is not some scrubino. And as I did last week, I compared him to Baker Mayfield statistically during his time in Jacksonville. And he compared very favorably without the talent that Baker Mayfield had.
Right.
Minshew's really good. I mean, he's really good. Now, he's not mobile. I mean, he's mobile within the pocket, but he's not like a running threat like Jalen Hurts. But let's just put this. I think this one gets put on the Eagles defense. This is supposed to be one of the best defenses in the league, and you give up 40 points. Like, you can't do that, And if your backup is going to give you 34 points, you're going to score 34 points with your backup starting.
Right.
You got to win a fucking game. Like, that's unacceptable, dude. You're
on the road.
Yeah, you're the defense of a team. You're first place team, and you lose your quarterback. As a defensive unit, you have to sit there and say, dude, we have to go out there and like almost pitch a shutout. Like, we got to help out here. We can't. And you give up 40? Nah, that's unacceptable. And this is when the doubt creeps in, right? Like, well, maybe the Eagles aren't good enough to beat like the team that played this week. That's not a good enough team to beat San Francisco.
No,
come on, dude. So, this is where the doubt comes, and now they make the doubt look legit.
One thing I want to add is what a difference. We just talked about how bad the Titans were. You think they miss A.J. Brown at all? My God.
I think they do.
Sometimes you got to pay a little money to keep some playmakers around you, man, because that guy is.
Well, see,
When he's healthy, goodness gracious.
This is where the salary cap comes in, right? Because Jalen Hurts is a third-round pick. If I'm not mistaken, I think Jalen Hurts costs the Eagles $1.5 million this year.
Wow.
Tannehill makes 30. So you got to find the money somewhere. You know, that's a significant difference. That's 29 million difference.
But I think Tannehill comes off this year.
Is this the year he comes off?
I think. I'm not positive.
Yeah, so that's where it was tough for them because, listen, clearly Vrabel wasn't happy about that move. You saw that on the night. He was like, he almost didn't even know what to say. Like,
right.
You know, we want him here, but this is the nature of the beast. And then GM got fired, right?
Yep.
That'll do it. So anyway, yeah, interesting. Eagles didn't help themselves. Didn't hurt themselves, but didn't help themselves as far as people's confidence in them.
The Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers are alive, and the Dolphins are drowning.
Yes. Tua gets concussed again, we think, or at least.
I just got breaking news that Bridgewater's going to start.
So he's out this week. This is at least the third this year, right? At least the third recorded one.
Not good. And it looked like in the fourth quarter, he didn't know what he did. He was throwing the ball to like guys selling popcorn.
But this has been kind of the story of the Dolphins for the last month and a half now. Is they get off to a good start, which means that script looks great. You know, the coach puts that script of 10 to 20 plays together, and then then the other team makes adjustments. And what I'm seeing, I'm not seeing either Tua. Okay, so how do I say it? Either the coach McDaniel isn't making good enough adjustments after those first 20 plays or after the defense adjusts, or Tua isn't good on the fly. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and I don't know which it is. It's probably a little bit of both. But yeah, like it seems like second half of games, they're not the same team. They're just not the same team. They're not adjusting to what the defense is doing to them.
Right.
So,
and the Packers on the other side,
are you a believer?
They need a little help? No,
yeah.
I'm not.
I mean, I just people like, oh, if they make the playoffs, they just got to beat the Dolphins. I mean, they just got to beat the Vikings and the Lions, and I'm like, they lost to both of those teams this year. Like, you know, it's just not that simple. You know, those teams want to play too. So,
although they got a Viking team now going into the cold weather here, and who
could
haven't
be a little
played
different.
Great, so
could be a little different.
We'll see. One more for me, and then we'll move on to this week. The Buccaneers are not a good football team, but Brady found a way to get it done. Comes back again. Cardinals are awful. Fucking Trace McSorley, quarterback.
Trace McSorley. I'm like, where did he go to college? It was Penn State.
Yeah.
You know what's so fun?
I don't know what to say here either, to be honest with you. I just feel like I had to mention it because they're in first place in the South, which is astonishing. But
isn't it amazing how like your instinct, your brain just takes over sometimes, and you just start to think, yeah, but if they make the playoffs and have a home game, Tom Brady, you just can't help it. But you watch him and you're like, let's be real here. Tom doesn't look that good either. He's missing guys. He's underthrowing guys.
But I feel like he's got a little happy feet going because he's getting fucking pounded.
It's a bad offensive line. Yeah, and that's not going to change just because they're in the playoffs.
No. I mean, like going forward, I feel like the guy could still play. Like if
this is what I'm saying.
Team around them.
Yeah. Well, this is what I mean. Like our instincts are to say once the playoffs start, they're going to be better. And I'm like, well, that offensive line isn't going to be any better. Like Tom may be more focused, and maybe like Mike Evans and some of these guys like get a little more locked in. But if the offensive line isn't, blocking. And then I think one of their linemen went down this week. So it's like it's even worse. I think the left tackle went down.
Yeah.
So they're down to like their third.
I think the most penalized guy in the league. But
yeah. So like, and he was ahead of the guy who's playing now. So, it's tough. It's hard. But you can't help but think like, man, Tom's going to figure this out. Well, Tom's not going to figure out the blocking scheme. Tom's not going to figure out the defense. Arizona's a bad football team right now, dude. Like, this is not like an impressive win, even though it's on the road. Like you said, it's against Trace McSorley. It's a bad defense.
Win. No, it's awful.
No, it's an ugly win. It should have been a lot easier.
1916 Christmas night.
Ugh. He was 9-9, like third quarter. Like This was not
It was
good.
16-9 Arizona, I think, wasn't it?
So it's just not good.
Week
But
7,
he'll win a playoff game because they'll be at home, and it'll be like the fucking
play the Giants. Yeah.
yeah, and they'll win 19-16. So
Week 17, we are here. 2 weeks to go. Tomorrow night. Dallas defense hasn't been playing great, but I think they might get the recipe they want to get better. Malik Willis and the Titans.
yeah, this is just what they needed coming off the Eagles game. Frankly, Tennessee isn't even running the ball that well, and I think part of this
could stuff the box.
Yeah, part of it is because the threat of the pass is just not there. So I never just say like, oh, Dallas should win this game. They're coming off a real high, so there's a chance for a letdown. But
sluggish start, maybe. Yeah,
I could totally see it. It's a short week after an emotional game,
rivalry game.
I would expect them to win the game, but maybe it's a late win, not real pretty, but it's one of those
13.
Yeah, 17-14, 16-13, like just a late win, figure it out.
Yeah,
get the fuck out of town.
To get out of town, yeah.
Get out of town and get home for 10 days. Get that like semi-bye action going on there and get ready for whoever they got the following week.
If Vrabel loses out, is he gone?
I can't imagine that be the case. It would be a travesty.
New GM?
It would be a travesty. I can't put this all on him, dude. You sold off half the team. I mentioned in the beginning of the season that they had let go of like 3 starting linemen because they couldn't pay him. I don't know where all their money's going.
And then their left tackle got hurt.
Yeah, so like this all can't fall on Vrabel. And again, it's the first year that this is a problem. Like this has been a perennial. They were first overall seed last year, so I can't imagine that,
dude. I keep forgetting that.
And the year before they were like 2nd seed. So it can't be. It's crazy. Listen. There would be a lot of teams that would love for that to be the case. Oh, my God. Denver would jump on that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the Denver situation in a minute, but, if that were a possibility, I know they would probably prefer an offensive coach, but they couldn't pass that up. And I'll explain why when we get to that later.
Miami Dolphins at New England.
So who's starting? Teddy Bridgewater?
Teddy Bridgewater.
Teddy 2 gloves. Is that game Sunday? Yeah, all these games are Sunday. I wasn't sure with the holiday. Yeah, I don't know because Miami going up to the cold. Who knows? Teddy is not great. But New England is so weird, like we said. I don't even know what to expect from them. So
this is another weird game.
Unpredictable. Like you can see anything from like Miami winning by 2 touchdowns to New England winning by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
for so many reasons. That's the problem. Mac Jones can play good. Mac Jones can play bad. They can run the ball really well or not run it at all. Teddy Bridgewater. They got Waddle and Tyreek Hill, so they could be explosive, but it's a backup and blah blah blah. There's so many reasons to not think one or the other is going to do well that the range of where this game could land is just crazy.
I also think the weather's going to be pretty mild up northeast this weekend, too, which is totally opposite of what it was last weekend. So that might not kill the Dolphins.
Well, that's why I was thinking, like, I don't know how cold it's going to be. But I will say this. Both of these teams are fighting for playoffs, and McDaniel's never really been in this position before, whereas Belichick has. We know historically Belichick's teams get better as the season goes along. They tend to figure things out, work things out, iron things out, however you want to look at it. And McDaniel's never been in a position to do this. We just were talking about how second half of games, the Dolphins haven't looked real great. Hey, who makes better second half adjustments than the New England Patriots? So you could see this being like, 10-6.
The Michigan Wolverines, I'll tell you.
Yeah. You can see this being 10-6 Miami at the half, 13-6 Miami at the half, and then the final score is like 20-13 New England.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
New Orleans Saints at Philly. Not sure if Hurts is going to go. New Orleans is kind of, I wouldn't say surging, but they're playing pretty good at the end. They still have an outside shot of making the playoffs because that South is a fucking nightmare.
Yeah. What's their record? They're 6-8.
6-9.
6-9.
Yeah, but New England's I think what?
Not
New England. Tampa Bay 7-8.
7-8.
7-8. I think.
something like that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's got to be 7 and 8.
So yeah, so they got everyone's got
For
a
sure.
shot there. Everyone's got a shot.
Where's this game being played?
It's in Philly.
This is a must-win game for the Eagles.
I would agree.
Not for standings. I don't mean it like that. I mean it for like psyche. You cannot go into your playoffs like losing 3 out of your last 4, 2 out of your last 4, like something. You can't do it. You can't do this lose at home. You have to come off the loss to the Cowboys and show like, hey, that was just tough week. Lost our quarterback. Well, Minshew's in again. They got to play great defense. This is not New Orleans doesn't exactly have a good offense here, so we need to get back to playing really solid defense. Get after the quarterback. Make Dalton make some errors, make some mistakes, some turnovers. Run the ball really well. Minshew throws a touchdown or two, makes no mistakes. 27-13 Philly. I mean, it's got to, or else these questions. If they give up like more than 24 points again, these questions are going to arise. Like, maybe this was just smoke and mirrors for most.
And then they got the Giants coming in.
Right.
Giants might be playing for something. Yeah.
And Dallas is looking as like, well, if they keep losing, is it possible for us to win the division? Like, if Philly loses out, like there's a lot of psychological importance more than standings importance for Philly to win this game. But then, like you said, New Orleans wants to make the playoffs. They can. Yeah. They see it. It's possible for them. So they're not just going to, not show up. But if Philly is really as good as we thought, they should win this game relatively handily.
Peter, clear your schedule for this game. The Panthers at the Buccaneers.
Well, it's actually a really important game, isn't it?
Yes,
Crazy
sir.
enough. Sam Darnold maybe trying to find a little career redemption. Where's the game?
In Tampa Bay.
Okay. I don't think that's as big a deal as some of these others. Like Miami going up to New England is kind of a big deal, but I don't think that's a big deal at all.
They ran the ball up the Lions' ass last week.
Impressive, right?
Yeah.
And frankly, Tampa is not stopping the run very well. This is a problem for them. So this is actually like an interesting game. Could you imagine? So they're like 1 game behind Tampa right now.
Yeah.
Could you imagine they win this game? I mean, you can imagine them winning a game, but could you imagine they're tied in the standings going into the final week of the season? That's crazy.
I can't imagine it.
It's crazy.
It might happen.
You know who I'm rooting for, though?
Sam?
Of course.
Yeah.
You know what the questions are creeping in now? Because this is what happened. We were talking Zach Wilson before. So then everybody's like, and you can't even compare him to Sam Darnold because Sam Darnold got screwed with the Jets. Like we had no talent. We had no offensive line, no running backs, no receivers, no nothing. It was barren.
He had mono.
And if you remember back to that draft, for a month or more, you and I were, having its tennis match back and forth about whether or not do you keep Sam and get some marquee players with those picks, or do you go with the quarterback and start fresh? And now that Sam's playing, decent. He's not even playing great. Let's be honest. He's just playing decent. It's like, boy, maybe if we kept Sam Darnold and built around him like they built around with Zach Wilson, things would be different. I'm like, oh boy, here we go. But I like Sam, so I'm rooting for him. So, we'll see about that. But listen, 4 weeks ago, we were looking at this game like a throwaway game. And now this is one of the more important games of the week.
But we're going to go to one of the most important games in the Calisano house, the New York Jets at Seattle Seahawks. You're both going in the wrong direction. Both teams here.
Yes, floundering at the end.
Gino might be looking a little sticking up your ass game.
You're going to think I'm crazy when I say this, but with Mike White starting, they should win this game.
I agree with you.
And here's why. As is always the case with the Jets, you have 2 corners that can lock up DK Metcalf and whoever
Lockett's out.
So whoever lines up opposite him. Let me just tell you something, dude. I know Sauce Gardner gets all the love. DJ Reed is really good. By the way,
ex-Seahawk.
Yes, he is. So he's probably going to want to try to sneak a pick in there somewhere. Might be jumping passes a little too early. Who knows?
Yes,
but let's be real. The Jets are better. They should win this game. Now, granted, it's on the road, and it's a tough place to play. Don't get me wrong. You're going cross country and all that shit. But this is a game they should win. Do I think they're going to win? I have no idea. I have no idea. What I can say is that Seattle doesn't really get after the quarterback very well, so Mike White should have a little more time. Seattle doesn't play very good defense as much as Pete Carroll's a defensive coach. They don't play great defense. So if you can't score this week,
if you lose,
danger territory. Oh yeah, come on. You got to win out to think. Like, are you talking about playoffs?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because either New England or Miami's going to win.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
One of those is going to win.
And Miami's got a game up on you right now? Game up in the win column, but you have the head-to-head so far, but then you play in week 18?
Correct. So it's tough.
Fuck.
It's tough.
I don't know. Well, yeah, I think you got to
listen, we're on the outside looking in right now.
You got to win a game. You just got to
win a game.
Got to win a game.
And I think they should win the game, but I'm not predicting that they're going to win the game. This is a classic spot where the Jets lose. I don't think this is classic Jets team. So I think they're a good defensive team. And if they just stay as they've been the last few weeks, they're not going to give up 20. And if you don't give up 20, you should win the fucking game. So that's how it is. Go score 24 and you win the game.
This isn't going to make sense for most people, but it's going to make sense for you because you know how I think and where I'm going with this. You could really argue the rookie of the year offensively was Breece Hall.
It would have been.
It changed the whole goddamn season for you guys.
It did. And now listen, to be fair, offensively, I mean, we're on like we've had 6 different starting tackles. People forget because it was a while ago. Elijah Vera Tucker, who was definitely going to be a Pro Bowler, is out. Like it's been bad. Like there's been a lot of injuries on the offensive line. And part of that is why they don't run the ball well anymore. Doesn't matter who's running. They just can't run it. Like they're averaging less than 3 yards a carry right now. So they can't run the ball. And that hurts this offense because this is a run-first, play-action, pass offense. But Seattle's not a good defense. So you have to run the ball moderately, and Mike White should have a good game, and they should win. Will they? I don't know.
One more question for you, and we'll move on. Joe Douglas in any trouble?
No, I can't imagine, dude. He's literally made one bad decision. Now, it's a big one.
I'm just asking.
It's a big one. It's a big one. Don't get me wrong. It's a big one. But I think, listen, I'll just say, I think it would be a huge mistake. I think he's very, very good at what he does. And if you just look at the last 2 drafts, look on the field of who's starting and who are making plays.
Hey, is Jermaine Johnson making any impact from Florida State?
Not much. Not much. Apparently, he's still kind of like learning the position, learning NFL. Plus,
because when we did our mock, we had him like in the top 15. He dropped to what, like 30 something? Didn't they pick him like?
They came into the top. I think they got him at 23.
Okay. So not that bad. Oh, you traded up to get Breece Hall. That's what you did.
Yeah. And the Jets have like a weird rotation going on up front too. They rotate their guys a lot more than most teams do with their
fresh. Yeah.
And they do have a lot of guys. I mean, you got guys like Vinny Curry. Listen, even Quinnen Williams comes out for stretches just to keep them fresh. That does help when you get into the fourth quarter, but it hurts you statistically, So I tell you who is playing pretty well that people don't know who he is, but the kid Clemens from Texas A&M. He's a nice player, plays really well in special teams, super aggressive. He's really well liked in that locker room. They actually think in the next couple of years he's going to be even better. So, but that's what I'm saying when it comes to Joe Douglas. You look at the guys who are performing, and then you even look at like free agents. Like I said, like a DJ Reed and Whitehead from Tampa, Corey Davis when he's healthy is
Whitehead had a good game the other day.
Yeah, I mean he's a physical player, which is exactly what Jets were missing. They missed like that physical banger. So it's hard to, it really is one guy.
The guy you traded to the Seahawks, that kind of player.
Whoops. Sorry about that.
No problem.
It's hard. It really does come down to Zach Wilson. I mean, nobody hits on every draft pick, but they've hit on a lot of draft picks.
What's the guy? I can't think of his name. The guy you traded to Seattle, the safety.
Oh, Jamal Adams.
Yeah, Jamal Adams.
Yeah. Which was a great move, right? Like Seattle's still getting criticized for that one.
Guy played like 6 games in 2 years.
It's just crazy. So he looks like a genius with some of the moves that he's made. So, and even if you look at some of what didn't work out, like they tried to get Tyreek Hill. Dude, they were like minutes away from pulling that off without giving away. I don't think they were going to give away a first-round pick. And then Miami jumped in last minute and gave him more. So they almost had Tyreek Hill. So you didn't get him. So I guess you don't get the goods for that.
Yeah.
But you almost had him, So I think he's very good at his job, and I think he's recognized as very good. I don't think he's in trouble. I think Robert Saleh, if they don't make the playoffs, let's say they lose out, I don't think Robert Saleh gets fired, but I think come next year he's definitely on a hot seat. You can't be 7-4 and then lose out and not be on the hot seat. You can't. You had a 75% chance of making the playoffs at that point. That was the statistical number. That was I saw it today. Like you were a 75% playoff chance, and now you're basically like a 10%er. So can't do it. That will cost you. Especially when you make comments like we're keeping receipts.
Yeah, it doesn't help. He could be one of those guys that are like on the hot seat going in, and if you start 1-4, he'll be gone. Which is a problem because you don't want to. That stinks because you don't want to. Because
then it's like throwing away.
Where'd that happen? That happened where? With Matt Rule.
Correct. It was like, why don't you just fire him last year?
Yeah, let's just move on if you're on the fence about it. Because then you.
I will say that if they're even thinking about it, then you probably should just do it. Just do it and start over.
Yeah. To the frozen tundra we go. Vikings at Packers. Huge game for both teams. Vikings, if the Eagles lose, Vikings are moving on up, I think, in the seeding. Packers fighting for a spot, although, like we just said before, they don't really scare us.
Well, I'm sure.
Because Rodgers isn't good in the playoffs when he has a really good year. So I don't know.
Well, but the difference this year, things will be a little different. Well, they'll be underdogs no matter where they play. And I think that I think you're going to play a little different when you're like, what, 9-8 would they be if they won out? If you're 9-8 and you're an underdog on the road, you play a little different than if you were 13-3 and a home favorite. Like 13-3 home favorite, you don't want to make mistakes. 9-8 on the road, like if you went down to Tampa or something or down to Carolina, you could just fucking let it hang out. Although if they went down to Carolina, they'd probably be favorites. But you know what I'm saying? Like I think it's different. They feel like they're playing with house money.
If they went down to Tampa, they might be favorites too.
Well, they just played last week, 2 weeks ago.
Who, Packers?
Did they play recently? They played Tampa recently?
They played them like week 4 or week 3, something like that. They played them early.
They were dogs though, right?
Yeah, but they won outright.
Correct. Yeah, that'd be interesting.
But we didn't know anything about either team.
No. Yeah, it was way too early to know what was going on. But I think if they make the playoffs, they're playing with house money.
Yeah, no,
so it's a little different attitude. But regardless, everybody's got them winning this game automatically. I'm not so sure about that. I don't think it's that simple and that obvious. I know they're playing better, but let's be real. They won that game like they played well in the fourth quarter mainly. Like it wasn't like it was a clear-cut victory from start to finish.
And Tua gave them the game. Like, let's be honest.
So there's an argument to be made that like if Tua doesn't have a concussion, they might lose that game, and we're not even talking about this. So let's slow down. I don't think it's guaranteed, but sure, they're playing certainly better. And what you are seeing is Aaron Rodgers, trusting those receivers a little more. I think he's got a little more fucking attitude. Like, hey, these are my guys. Like, what am I gonna do? Like you gotta throw it to them. Yeah. And they're making plays. Yep. So. And they're also running the ball pretty well, which is a big.
Well, we've been saying that for 2 months. Run the goddamn ball. You got 2 studs.
Yep. And it's starting to pay off.
Monday night, big one in the AFC. Buffalo at Cincinnati. Is Cincinnati due for a stinker here at some point?
Well, I don't know. I was just gonna say, like, man, I would have. I have like real mixed emotions now coming off that second half where they almost lose.
I know, but maybe that was
not almost
stinker.
Lose, but
almost
score. And you're like, almost lose. Yeah, I guess you could say almost lose. So, and Buffalo's playing pretty well, although not great, but they still seem to be committed to trying to run the ball, which is important. They get off it really quick. They get off it too quick sometimes, but they're still kind of committed. It's a huge game though, because what's Cincinnati's record? Do you have that there?
I can get it.
Because is there still a battle for overall first seed?
I think it's KC and Buffalo, but I'm not sure.
Because I feel like Cincinnati might have 4 losses, and what does Buffalo have 2?
Buffalo's 12-3, KC's 12-3. Buffalo has the tiebreaker, and Cincy's 11-4.
So they're 1 game behind. If Cincinnati wins, they pull them
back.
And
they beat Kansas City and Buffalo if they win the game.
So if Kansas City were to lose one of these last 2 games, which they would probably not be able to sit anybody because they would then have Cincinnati would have a tiebreaker against both Buffalo and against Kansas City if they were to win against Buffalo. So this is a really big game,
dude. Cincinnati was 2-3.
I know, dude. Same thing last year. This is what I said to you. Zach Taylor is a much better coach than he gets credit for.
They got smoked on Halloween by the Browns. I forgot about that game. And then it's been pound ever since.
They haven't lost since, right?
No.
7 straight wins.
Yep.
I mean, dude, you gotta give that coach some credit for that, man.
Dude, he's a stud, bro.
Come on. And he gets no love. No love. In fact, if you remember, what did you say they started 2-3?
Yeah.
There were people talking like, oh, they got lucky last year. Maybe he's not the guy. They're already ready to fire him. He just went to the Super Bowl.
That's like the fucking Milwaukee Bucks coach we always a couple years ago.
Yes, exactly. Are you guys insane? Like, come on, he's a real, to me.
Joe Burrow coming off an appendectomy, and Jamar Chase was out for a couple weeks, and they
still won 7 games, 7 straight games.
It's insane
to take over first place by a mile, and now you have a shot at number 1 overall seed. You've won 7 straight games. I'm sorry, isn't that what we would normally call like a candidate for coach of the year?
Yeah.
Who else would get coach of the year?
Sirianni, maybe.
Yeah, but don't they usually have an AFC and NFC, or it's just an overall?
You know what? It's a good question.
I don't know. Dude, come on, man.
No, that's ridiculous.
I said this to you like 5 weeks ago. I was getting the sense that Cincinnati was kind of like just they were going to peak right as the regular season ended, and then they won 7 straight games.
If Jacksonville wins the South, does Peterson get any recognition for Coach of the Year?
I don't know because it'll be such like close to a 500 record.
Yeah, 9-8. Yeah.
But
after last year's nightmare with Urban Meyer and like
yeah. I don't think he'll give a shit about that because
no.
I'm sure we'll talk about them in a minute. They're in the hunt for the playoffs. I mean, that's just the reality. They're actually in the hunt for the playoffs now. So,
if it ends today, they're in.
Are they in right now?
Yeah, they took over Tennessee for
that's right. Oh my God, that's right. Jesus.
And they play Houston this week, dude. So. Houston's playing better.
And they definitely play really good defense for sure. This will be a good test. Are we talking about that game now?
No, they're playing the Texans. We don't really got to go into that one.
Okay. Well, I will just say this. That is a really good test because I think it's on the road too.
It is.
That's a really good test.
Are they saving Lovey's job for Christ's sake in Houston?
I certainly, for their sake, I hope not.
Dude.
But that's a test. That is a good test because that defense is playing pretty well. So. And listen, Houston is in games. It's not like people run away from them.
Bro, for sure.
They got a bad head coach, and they just don't finish games because they're not very talented. But they're in games. This is not a team that's like just getting their doors blown off. So
that's all I got. You want to go to the nightmare in Denver?
Yeah, it finally happened. I guess it had to happen. Hackett gets fired. You can't fire your quarterback who you just signed to a 6-year contract, a 6-year contract extension that didn't even kick in yet.
When you lose a game like that in a standalone game on Christmas Day, and I've been bragging about the Bronco defense for months. They finally had enough. They're like, "Fuck this! This is."
I think that's what did it. Actually, we had said for the last few weeks, like you can say what you want about Hackett, but it looks like the team still plays hard. Like, and the reports that we were hearing out of Denver was that they liked him. You know, they liked playing for him. They liked him in the locker room, that he was a good guy. They liked playing for him. Was it the Rams? This was one of my picks.
It was the Rams. Was it, you son of a bitch?
If I remember correctly, I said to you, I could see the Rams scoring 6 points.
Oh, you had Denver. Yeah, you had Denver.
I had Denver, and I said I could see the Rams scoring 6 points.
By the way, you should have won that fucking Falcon game. That game was so.
I should have. I got screwed out of that one, but that's okay. That's the way it goes. It's the nature of the beast.
Last week.
But I thought they could score 6, and instead of they score 6, they score 50. I couldn't have been more wrong about that one, right? I'm totally opposite.
I'm sitting on my brother's couch, feeling like absolute dog shit, watching Wilson throw the ball up. Watching Cortland Sutton almost lose his mind. Watching the backup quarterback and the left guard almost fight on the sideline. That's where I think they lost the team.
Yes.
That's where it's
So Russell Wilson played bad, making bad throws. Is that Hackett's fault? No, of course not. But you can't fire Russell Wilson.
That's what I got written down. He's not going anywhere. So what's next, dude?
And then what happens is, like you said, the defense shit the bed. It's a standalone game. So now you were playing good D, and you were in games, even though you were losing them all. The defense, and it looks like the players just packed it in, and at that point, the decision was pretty easy.
So I'm hearing some things out of Denver. They want Dan Quinn, bring in Schottenheimer, Brian Schottenheimer as the OC because he knows how to
I've
work
heard
with
that.
Russ.
I don't know. So listen,
But he knows how to work with a 23-year-old Russ, not a fucking 32-year-old.
Well, I don't know. Does Russell Wilson, like, is he eating a little humble pie right now and saying, hey, maybe that's not a bad idea? But it's not that simple. Like, whoever becomes a head coach, they have to have some kind of, I don't know if it has to be a relationship, but you have to have some confidence in the guy you hire. And Schottenheimer doesn't exactly have the best fucking reputation, dude. It's not like he's out there putting up monster numbers with a lot of teams. He just had some success, with Russ, which matters for sure. We'd mentioned Vrabel. If God forbid, I can't imagine him firing him, but I would think you would soak him up in a second if someone like that were available.
The name that comes up every year is my guy, Jim Harbaugh. But listen,
I wouldn't. Why would you do that?
He already said he's going back there next year. Michigan's
but why would you do that?
Michigan's going to be so much better than these teams that are looking for a coach next year.
It's just what I'm saying. I don't think that's an upgrade.
And first of all, they want to. The NFL looks like they want to go younger with these coaches now too. Well, and Harbaugh's a weird dude. I know he's figured it out in Michigan, thank God. But
the other name you hear is Sean Payton. They want to hire Sean Payton.
He's not going there.
I don't know.
But now hold the phone.
Yep, I know where you're going.
If Dallas wins, and then they're not going to fire McCarthy, and if now the Chargers make the playoffs, they might not fire Staley. And he's used to winning with a shorter quarterback.
And the job's open now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're not Rams, if you're the Chargers, you're not making any moves until you either don't make the playoffs or you lose in the playoffs. So we're talking into January. We're well into the off season, not an off season, into the postseason. Whereas Denver can start looking and talking now. Not interviewing. I think there's rules in the league now, right? You can't do anything until a certain point, but you certainly got a leg up. So, and like you said, if the Chargers, listen, if I'm the Chargers front office,
I know
I've already been having back channel conversations telling him, unless we win a first round game, but now they look like they could win a first round game. And then if you're Sean Payton, do you want to wait?
I know. I wish you were a fly on my wall Monday night. So I'm in fantasy playoffs, and I have Mike Williams. I needed 10 points, 2 points, whatever. It's 1 point per catch, right? This fucking guy is like, what? And now I was yelling at Herbert. I was yelling at fucking Staley. This guy's doing ass thrusts in pregame. Do you see that video? Fucking, he's doing downward dog on the field. Like, what a fucking dude. At halftime, he has 2 catches for 34 yards or 30 yards, right? I'm like, if he duplicates that, I win.
Right.
Beginning of fourth quarter, one drive, Mike Williams gets like a 20-something yard catch, and the next play he gets like an 11-yard catch. And I'm like, I fucking love this guy. Re-sign him. Get him. It's just, but we've talked about this. For some reason, Herbert's fantastic. He's so good in the pocket.
He really is.
He's so poised. He doesn't look like he's ever in trouble, panics. But the checkdowns and all this, they don't let him go deep a lot. Like, what the fuck is going on there, dude?
Yeah. But when he does, man, bizarre. He's got a much stronger arm than people even realize. There was a throw he made to Mike Williams.
Ease.
It looked like he just flicked it. The one on the sideline.
Yeah.
That ball never got, over 7 feet off the ground.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And it probably traveled 30 yards through the air. It was a friggin' zot.
Yep.
And I was just like, God damn, that looked way too easy. And I know what it's like to throw a football, having been a quarterback. That throw was not that easy. Like, to make it look like that, like on a straight line. Like, it looked like it was on a laser.
How good would Sean Payton make him? Again,
this is what I'm saying.
Again, I don't want more good coaches in my division because we're a fucking nightmare as it is. But
that's what I'm saying.
As a football fan,
I keep wanting to say San Diego, but if I'm the Chargers front office, yeah, I wish they were still. If I'm the Chargers front office, I'm almost like committed to moving on, unless we win the Super Bowl. Like, I don't know. Like, I just look at them like, man, again, if there are back channel discussions going on and Sean Payton has interest, which I look around the league and I say, what team would more likely you go to other than the Chargers if that was available? It's the best job. And now their defense is even playing pretty friggin' well.
So
Like I would almost, if I'm the Chargers, like I want to lose it because I just don't think Staley's ever getting me to the promised land.
No, I agree.
And
so
you have a Super Bowl worthy quarterback.
Denver's open. Tennessee, I can't see it being open either, but I wouldn't go there. Their quarterback situation is not good.
Nope.
Jets quarterback, if they fire solid, Jets quarterback's not good.
Nope.
They don't even know who it's going to be.
No way with Sean Payton.
Houston, no shot, right? If they fire Lovey,
the only thing you have a shot. The only reason I don't know what their draft situation is.
What about Arizona? You want to go fucking coach Kyler?
I do not.
I doubt it. No.
Listen, Houston is a little more interesting than you might think for multiple reasons. He has a home in the area.
Oh, he does.
And if you get a top draft pick and you like the guys that are coming out, like I think they got the number 1 overall pick right now.
Yeah, you got Stroud or Young or whatever you like. Yeah.
Or Levis or whoever.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah, the Levis Young. The Levis Love is good player, but
yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one.
He reminds me like a Tannehill kind of guy. Like,
no, I think. Listen, he's got a really big time arm, and he's a pretty big kid. But
yeah, so is Brock Osweiler.
Yeah, I need to see a little more film, and we haven't gotten to that level yet. But that's the only thing that would make, it's what made Carolina interesting like a month ago. Like if you had a top 5 pick, that's an interesting job. And Texas is interesting because of the draft pick, and then plus there's the state income tax. There's no state income tax. You get to keep more of your money.
How long does Pete Carroll coach in Seattle? Because they got a lot of draft picks too. And
he's in his 70s.
I know, man.
I think he's at least 71 right now.
But man, they made the right decision keeping him and getting rid of fucking Russ. Oh my god,
they look like fucking geniuses.
Oh
this is what I'm saying. They knew things.
I know. I said that to my buddy last night. Yeah,
to their credit, they really never badmouthed Russ. Sure, they looked into a trade, but they didn't make that public. That got out. Like they never said he sucks or we're just done or we want to move on. And they never said, well, he's not good at this, that, or the other thing. They kept it under wraps. They really never did anything like that. But now you're looking, you're like, oh, dude, they knew. They knew.
Yeah.
You can say what you want about Hackett, but Russell Wilson, at the very least, if you're going to be honest, at the very least, you could look at him and say he's limited. Whereas a Herbert, Allen, Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers,
Hurts,
these guys are not limited. There's no things that you're like, Hurts can't do this.
Hurts has earned that now.
He's getting into that level. Absolutely. Absolutely. So Russell Wilson has limitations. So anyway.
You want to bet?
So it's interesting. I don't know. Did you have any other names that you heard? Like, do you think
Giants offensive coordinator has been out there? Eric Bieniemy again has been out there. What's the other guy I heard? Your boy LaFleur's lost a lot of luster because of but not his fault, basically.
I don't think he was.
There's another name I heard. What the hell's the other name I heard? Oh, Kellen Moore. He was on their list last year, I think, a little bit, and then
there was another offensive coordinator that I heard people talking about.
Maybe it was Ken Dorsey. Was it?
Nah. Shit, I can't remember who it is now.
It was Kafka. It was the one I heard. Mike Kafka, the Giants OC.
That might be maybe not.
Oh, D'Amico Ryans, Niners DC, I heard.
Might be a good fit.
But I think they need offense, dude.
You had offense, and that failed miserably.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But also, dude, to give them Hackett a little love, a little credit, he left the Packers, and their fucking offense stunk all year, too. So, like.
True.
I don't know.
It's a tough spot.
I'm glad Michigan's playing.
So here's what I wanted to talk about before. We'll end with this. You've now hired 3 straight coordinators, I believe, to be your head coach, right?
Fangio was before that, and the guy before that was Vance Joseph, I think.
All were coordinators before.
Yeah, 2 DCs and an OC. Yeah.
So some people are saying maybe it's time to hire somebody that's got some experience.
I tell you, Kubiak, if that's the case, you throw the blank check at fucking Sean Payton then. I mean, that's –
I don't know if that's enough.
Denver's a great place to live, dude.
Yes.
But again, you're stuck with this guy. If you don't like him –
This is what I'm saying.
Oh, my God. I want
such a tough spot, man. Roof. The only other thing I will say with Sean Payton is that Drew Brees was an undersized quarterback.
Well, as I said before, yeah, he's used
who didn't throw a lot of check downs over the middle. This is what I'm saying. Like Russell Wilson's problem is that short to intermediate between the hashes, and frankly, Drew Brees was never great at that either.
You know what? They need energy, dude. They just need someone in the building that's going to be an alpha male too. Like,
Well,
'Cause they
listen,
have
Sean
a-
Payton, if they could swing that, Sean Payton comes into the building instantaneous. He's got the gravitas. He's a Super Bowl champ. He's the most coveted coach that's out there for sure. I don't even think it's close. So
I have a hypothetical.
let me hear it.
Say Dallas loses first round again at home, whatever. Or no, they're playing on the road because they lose at San Fran. Ugly.
Okay.
They fire McCarthy. They go get Sean Payton.
They're really going to go fire McCarthy?
Did the Broncos go after McCarthy?
I tell you what. If Dallas, if the normal reason you fire a coach were in place there, because listen, they're going to have 12 wins.
I know.
So how do you fire a guy with 12 wins?
But Sean Payton's been on Jerry Jones' wish list for
So what I'm saying is the normal circumstances for firing a coach is because he's not performing. Well, that's clearly not the case in Dallas. It would clearly be because they want to get Sean Payton.
Right.
So normally I would say, no, I wouldn't give McCarthy another chance because he probably just went 7-10, but coming off like a 12-5, 13-4 season, I might consider that.
Yeah, I would too.
I don't know that that's a realistic scenario, but
I'm just saying.
but if that were the case, listen,
because Jerry Jones has done crazy as shit. He's kept Jason Garrett around for mediocre years, and then he's going to fire this guy for going to the playoffs 2 years in a row for a guy that's on his wish list
because you want a different guy, because you want that guy.
You're right.
Yeah. It's if that scenario were to play out, I do think it's possible. I think if that's a scenario played out, I think Mike McCarthy would be coveted by a number of places.
I agree.
Whereas if the normal process took place where because you go 7-10, you get fired, I think his choices would be very limited.
Yeah, maybe he's coaching Mississippi State or something. No offense on Mike Leach, obviously.
For sure. Seriously. So it's odd. This Sean Payton in the mix here, and frankly, making it known that he wants to coach again, it really makes a lot of strange scenarios less strange. Certainly more possible.
Yeah.
So it's and he would love. He kind of was like when he left New Orleans. He kind of hinted to the idea that he would love to be the Dallas Cowboys coach. Like, listen, they got a guy, but who wouldn't want to be the Cowboys coach? And again, he has a home in Texas, so
yeah,
sure. Crazier things have happened for sure.
Oh, dude, for sure.
Yeah, let me see if I can get some music here.
Let's gamble. So last week,
let's hear it.
Let me see. Last week, Peter was 1-2. Falcons, Broncos, losers. Cowboys, a late winner.
I got screwed on the
Falcon game.
That's okay. It happens.
I was 2-1, and I got screwed on the Raider game. Fucking 2.5, and they. Chips.
Yep. Why don't you start it off? We're gonna start with some college.
Let's go bowling, as they say.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna go to the Gator Bowl. The South Carolina Gamecocks are getting 2 points against the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. Something has been figured out with the South Carolina offense the last month, and I know it's been a month off, but I think they're flying high, confident. Notre Dame's offense has been up and down all year, to say the least.
But the defense has been
good.
Good. Not great, but good.
But I think this number would be a little different if they weren't playing the Notre Dame heavy batting Irish. Give me the Gamecocks +2 at the Gator Bowl.
Love it. I may have something to say in a separate segment about the same game.
Okay.
I
know where you're going, Peter.
Yeah. I had a rule when it comes to bowl game betting that I mentioned a couple weeks ago that if one team doesn't want to be there and the other team does want to be there, even if it looks like a mismatch, you'd always
tell me you're going to the green wave. Do not fucking
you
tell
always,
me.
No. You always take the team that wants to be there more than the team that doesn't. And I think this game fits that bill. In the Sugar Bowl, Alabama is probably very disappointed to be there. Kansas State is probably ecstatic to be there. So you would think my natural pick would be to take Kansas State. Not so fast, my friend.
Oh!
There's an exception to every rule. And the exception in this case is Nick Saban. And I'm going to give you a reason why. If you remember, I know this isn't a national championship game, but if you remember in a national championship game a couple years back where he pulled Jalen Hurts and put in Tua,
Yep.
you know that all week Nick Saban has been telling these guys, not so many words, if you suck, I'm pulling your ass out of the game. And your NFL dreams, your coaches and your scouts are going to see that you laid an egg and got pulled. So I don't think Nick Saban, I think it's very unique because I don't think a lot of coaches can pull this off. I think maybe like a Jim Harbaugh can pull this off. I can't think of too many guys that can pull this off. It takes a certain attitude. I think Alabama, whether Bryce Young plays or not, and as of right now, he is playing, right? So playing. Even if he didn't, I think 5.5. I think because of Nick Saban, and I think Alabama is so much better than Kansas State. I think he keeps them up and ready to play this game. If nothing else, Nick Saban will love and cherish the idea of after beating Kansas State by 30, saying, see, we probably should have been in the playoffs instead of TCU, right? So give me Alabama.
Or Ohio State.
Yeah, give me Alabama minus 5.5 over Kansas State. It's probably the lowest line Alabama's had almost like the whole season.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They're always favored by like a touchdown or more.
You know what I would say? Fishy, fishy.
Fishy, fishy. So give me Bama minus a 5.5.
I'm going to go to the Peach Bowl, a college football playoff game. The fuck eyes of Ohio State have new life, those cocksuckers. Offense is healthy-ish. I'm also trying to jinx them. Ohio State plus 6.5 against Georgia.
I have my second pick as the same game, and I got the line at 7. And I also like Ohio State. You're going to think I'm fucking crazy here.
So you're going to give me the 7 then. I'll take the 7.
We'll go 7. Yeah, absolutely. You're going to think I'm crazy here. And I think it's crazy that it's even the case. I think Ryan Day's job is in jeopardy. I don't think it's in jeopardy necessarily this season. If he loses 2 straight years to Michigan and then gets bombed out of the building by Georgia here, I think he's really in jeopardy because people are going to look and say, who do you beat? Who do you beat?
Right.
I think this is a huge game. And I agree with you. They got healthy in the time. I think Georgia wins this game, but I think Ohio State plays a lot better. When's the last time you saw Ohio State getting 7 points against anybody on the planet?
It's been
very rare. And Georgia's good.
Fucking 12 years.
Yeah, Georgia's really good. Don't get me wrong. But you give me Ohio State
really
with a month to prepare. I'll take Ohio State plus the 7 over against Georgia also. I actually can't picture them winning this game. But I can't picture.
I could.
It's possible. I think it's possible because they do have explosive wideouts. But I'll definitely take the points for sure.
I don't know. You know what? I'll save it because we'll go into this in a little while when our next segment. So
okay.
Sunday, New Year's Day, NFL happens every couple of years, which is odd because then the bowl games get moved around.
Yep.
I'm going to the Meadowlands, my friend, and I've been riding this giant. I've been riding to this giant train for a long time, and it's been paying off for me.
It has.
-5 against the Colts. Anybody watch the Colts and Nick Foles play the other night? Good God. They are one of those teams that I always say they're shipping the cars home. They want to get the fuck home.
Yeah.
They do not want to be playing football anymore this season.
It's incredible.
Taylor's out. The quarterback situation is bad. One of the highest paid offensive lines in the league is getting absolutely dismantled week by week. And what are the Giants starting to do? Rush the passer.
Yep.
I think this game's ugly early. Giants win and they're in. Send the Colts home. Giants -5.
Only thing I will throw in there as a little monkey wrench to this is I had mentioned before there are a couple teams whose quarterback situation is so bad that I think they'd rather be on the road than at home.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Jets are one of those teams when Zach Wilson's playing. I think Washington is one of those teams now that Wentz is back at starting quarterback. And I think the Colts are one of those teams. I think it's actually worse for them to be at home because their fans are like so sick of what they're seeing, these strange games, bad losses. So I think they'd actually rather be on the road, but I don't know. They'd rather be on the road against the Giants. So, because the Giants are, for all the reasons you said, I think they're playing really well right now. I think sometimes we get overly excited about young teams who are making a playoff push for the first time, and I'm falling into that trap right now. Jacksonville Jaguars are going to the Texans, who have been playing really well lately, especially on the defensive side, which should come as no surprise because Lovie Smith is a defensive coach. If anything, over his career, I never thought of him as a good head coach, but he's always been a good defensive coach. But I just think momentum is a bitch in the NFL. And right now, Jacksonville, you just look at them, they just ooze confidence. They feel really good right now. It just looks like they feel like a confident playoff team. And if they think they are a playoff team, this is a game you got to win. You got to go on the road. You got to be impressive. You got to beat the Houston Texans, which has got 1 win on the season. So I'm going to go with the Jags.
2.
What's up? Oh, they got 2. Oh, because they just won this past week. You're right. They got 2 wins. Yep. I'm going to go with the Jags here, -4.5 over the Texans. I don't love that it's 4.5. I think it's a little
That
high.
is a weird number, right?
I think it's a little high, and it's funky with that extra hook and everything, but I'm a believer. I think they're confident, and I'm confident that they're confident. I think it's real. And I think what you've said from the beginning of the season with Jacksonville is true, that Peterson is a good coach, making a big difference there. I think you've been right all along on that one. So I'm going to take the Jags. Plus, you have a coach here who knows what it's like to make a playoff run at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Okay. And young players looking at him and saying, this guy knows how to get it done at the end of the season. There's a vibe there right now with Jacksonville that I think is undeniable. So I'm going to take the Jags -4.5.
One of the best rivalries in the NFL over the last couple of decades, I guess you could say. I think I took this game a couple weeks ago, and I'm going back at it again, Peter. The Pittsburgh Steelers are getting 3 points at Baltimore.
Is it possible that that Tomlin does it again?
Tomlin is 2 wins away from not having a losing record as a head coach.
It's insane.
They're still alive. They're confident. They had the game won basically a couple weeks ago, and Mitch Trubisky threw 3 interceptions right at Baltimore players, 2 of them in the red zone.
Atrocious.
I think Pickett's playing really well, and they got Najee Harris more involved in the pass game. George Pickens looks like a future stud. Freiermuth looks like a future top 5 tight end in the league. Their defense is starting to keep them in it. Under 20 points a couple weeks now in a row.
It's amazing what your defense does when they believe in your offense.
Baltimore already clinched a playoff spot. They might want to rest Lamar again because it doesn't matter moving around with seeding.
Right.
I think Pittsburgh is going to win this game outright, but I love the 3 points.
Where is it at Baltimore?
It is.
Yeah. Love that pick. Ballsy pick for you. God bless you, sir. I had mentioned before that everybody is just gung-ho that Green Bay is just going to mail in the last 2 games of the season to win and make the playoffs. And it's not a question, are they going to make the playoffs, but can they win a playoff game? Slow your roll, motherfucker. I don't think it's just some given that you're going to beat the Vikings this week. I mean, I understand it's outdoors, it's cold, yada, yada, whatever. Like, this is a good football team against a sub-500 team. So it's as simple as that for me. I think the Vikings have shown all year that if it's a close game, they're going to find a way to win in the end. And they've been in nothing but close games. So I'm going to take the Vikings. I got a feeling I might get bit on this one, but I'm going to take the Vikings plus the 3 against Green Bay. Listen, they're even fighting for seeding now, right?
Yep.
Because the Eagles lost, there's a chance that they can get the number 1 seed. So it's a big game for them too. They're not just going to lie down for Green Bay. So give me the Vikings plus 3 over Green Bay.
In a review, I have South Carolina plus 2, Ohio State plus 7, Giants -5, and the Steelers plus 3.
I have Alabama -5.5 over Kansas State. I have Ohio State getting 7 over Georgia also. I get the Jags -4.5 over the Texans, and I got the Vikings at Green Bay plus the 3.
Let's go. Let's have a week.
We'll see how it goes, right? Let's have a week. It's about time. Hey, you had asked a great question. What are the top bowls that you're looking forward to? So I have my 5, and what I did is I actually didn't put any of the playoff games in here, just because I think we're looking forward to both of those.
I did.
I should have mentioned it to you, but I just looked at the non-playoff games and thought, like, well, which games?
Yeah, that does make some sense, I guess.
Which ones am I looking forward to? So I'll start off with number 5 for me. Ole Miss versus Texas Tech. I think this is like a kind of throwback to the early to mid 2000s where teams were just chucking and ducking, and these were two, Texas Tech was always one of the highest scoring teams. Ole Miss is now one of the higher scoring teams. If you like offense, I have to believe that this is going to be a pretty high scoring game. So, and I like that, especially during bowl season. I think that game's actually tonight, if I'm not mistaken.
It is.
We're filming this.
It is 9 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, we're doing this on Wednesday. So if I get this out quick enough, you'll know. But I think Ole Miss versus Texas Tech could be a lot of fun to watch.
Number 5 for me, I got the Holiday Bowl. Oregon against North Carolina. Points galore. No
should
defense.
Be, right?
It should be a little explosive. Oregon. God.
No, I was just going to say you'll get to see one of the most coveted quarterbacks in the country right now, the kid May from North Carolina.
And he said he's coming back.
And he's staying with North Carolina, which is interesting because there's some tampering claims about schools throwing $5 million a year.
Mac Brown was not happy.
No, he was not. We'll have to see. I'll just on another note, we'll talk about it another day. We'll have to see if there's any kind of investigation because that shouldn't be allowed.
Dude, this NIL shit, man.
I don't know how they fix it, but it's not good. My fourth game is Texas versus Washington. And I think this is interesting for a couple of reasons. Like the Pac-12 is still trying to gain some respect around the country. They certainly have a better record than Texas, but this game is the Alamo Bowl, so it's being played in Texas. Texas has thrown away a couple games this year that they should have won. They could have easily beaten Alabama, a couple other games that they lost that they should have won. So I'm just fascinated to see is the Pac-12 going to earn their respect, or does Texas show that, we talked about how many guys actually get drafted off Texas. There's a lot. But it doesn't equate to college wins. Let's see if they can kind of end the season on a high going into next season where Archie Manning will be coming there to play. So,
excuse me, Peter. My fourth game is the Alamo Bowl. I don't know if you heard of it. It's Texas against Washington.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a good game.
I love the uniform matchup in this game. A lot of purple, a lot of burnt orange. It's going to be very contrast. Fast athletes all over the place.
Yes.
Penix Jr. had a great year at Washington. He said he's coming back for his senior year or 50-year year, COVID year, whatever the hell you want to call it now.
And if you recognize that name, you're listening, you recognize that name. He was the quarterback at Indiana a couple years ago before COVID, around COVID, and then transferred
before
to
and during. Yeah.
Yeah.
See him come back, and then let's see if Quinn Ewers could earn and keep off Manning for next year.
Yeah,
that'd be interesting to see. So,
because he was as high a recruit as there was. He went to Ohio State first and then transferred. He needs some hair products, though. He needs to work on the look. It's and really
he was one of the first
gross.
guys. He was one of the first guys to really take advantage of the NIL thing too.
Correct.
Ohio State threw a bunch of money at him and a car dealership deal or something. And
speaking of which, have you heard that Ohio State is coming short on some of these NIL deals? They're unable to come up with enough money to sign some of these guys. I find that very interesting. My number 3 game.
You know why? Because they're sick of getting run over by the Wolverines. That's why.
Yeah, well, then they better cough up the dough because they're coming up short. I can't believe I'm saying this is my third most interesting non-playoff game.
The Cheez-It Bowl.
Who's playing a Cheez-It Bowl?
Florida State.
No. But the way the season ended made this interesting, and it was one of your picks. I'm really interested to see how South Carolina plays against Notre Dame. I wouldn't have said this except for the fact that they beat who'd they beat? Tennessee and then
Clemson.
And then Clemson to end the season. I'm fascinated to see if they can. Now, a month is a long time, and you can lose momentum really quick when you got to wait that long to play.
Yeah,
but exactly. I'm really interested to see if they can kind of keep that going. And Notre Dame is a tough test because they really did it mostly with offense in those games. So we'll see if they can keep that offensive momentum going with Spencer Rattler and some of those guys there. It was really impressive those last 2 weeks. Holy shit! So.
Number 3 for me, I got the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. Utah against Penn State. A lot of veteran players on both sides of the ball here. I think I mentioned a couple times. I think Sean Clifford's 32 at Penn State. It's really embarrassing. He's been there forever.
Yeah, seriously.
The Utah Utes trying to avenge last year's game against Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. They had that game. They're up 14 points. I think 2 different times.
I turned it off.
Yeah.
I turned it off. I thought it was a blowout.
Always one of if you're a college football fan, this is a must watch no matter who's in it. The ambiance, the site, it's just amazing.
Gorgeous.
So I'm looking forward to that one, especially being a Big Ten guy.
Interestingly enough, that's my number 2 also, and for all the same reasons. And I also want to see, is Penn State, they had only 2 losses this year, Michigan and Ohio State. Are they for real? Because let's be honest, the rest of the Big Ten was a little weak this year.
Fair.
So I'm interested because I think Utah's a pretty good football team. Beat USC twice, had a good season. So I think it'll be an interesting game, but it's really, to me, I want to see if Penn State is as good as their record says they are.
Yep. And Utah plays like Michigan plays. So we'll see if the Penn State figure anything else out.
Absolutely.
Number 2 for me, and I probably should.
Number 2 or number 1?
Oh, number 2. You went first, sir.
I started first. Okay.
Number 2 for me, and I probably should listen to you. I got the Peach Bowl, Georgia, Ohio State. Great game on paper. These are 2 legendary teams. OSU, new life, like I said before. Georgia's a juggernaut, but they have shown this year they've had a couple sloppy games. I don't know if they can get snake bit. But
I feel like they were playing down to their competition. Anytime
Missouri had them. I forgot the other team that almost had them too. It was like a 16-6 game that same day. Ohio State, Michigan, and TCU almost lost. That was like the week before rivalry week. That's the second last week of the year. They all were on the ropes.
Yeah.
So again, Kirby's earned himself now as one of the top tier coaches, and but we'll see what Ohio State does with a new life. So.
For sure. The game I'm looking forward to most, and it's not just this game, but it's the way I got to be honest with you, I'm stunned at the way that college football in general has honored Mike Leach. Teams wearing helmets with pirate themes and that kind of thing. Teams that have nothing to do with pirates are wearing pirate themes or Mike Leach patches or stickers or
Yep.
I'm blown away. I'm actually getting chills right now thinking about it. So I'm actually really looking forward to, more than any game, I want to see Mississippi State versus Illinois. And if it was Montclair State instead of Illinois, I'd still be, because I just want to see, what does Mississippi State look like? How do they come out and play? Do they honor their coach by playing a great game? I actually want to see what they physically look like how he gets honored either before the game, halftime, during the game, whatever they do. I'm truly blown away when I hear teams like, I think it was like Central Michigan or something like that, change their uniforms and their helmets to honor Mike Leach. Like you saw it with all these smaller bowl games, teams that he was never even associated with,
right,
honoring him on their uniforms. I gotta believe that the family is touched, and it just goes to show you I don't know that the casual fan knows who Nick Saban is, knows who Jim Harbaugh is, knows some of these names. Most of the casual fans don't know who Mike Leach is. I don't know that those 2 names I just mentioned get honored throughout college football by other teams the way Mike Leach is being honored. I'm genuinely blown away by it. So now, because of that, I want to see Mississippi State. I want to see their uniforms. I want to see how they play. I hope they come out and play their asses off.
What bowl is that, Pete? Is that the Pinstripe? No. What?
It's an shit.
No, Pinstripe's Minnesota.
Real quick here. I got it right here. That is the Relia Quest Bowl. Bowl. Hello. That's on Monday, January 2nd. Yeah. So yeah, all that stuff's irrelevant to me. It's all about Mike Leach and what they do and how they honor him. And I hope they come out and play their fucking asses off and win one last game for the ball coach.
Agreed. That's a good one, dude. One for me, Fiesta Bowl. The Wolverines against the Horned Frogs. Very excited, very nervous, and we'll see if we could avenge last year.
Okay, so I have to ask you, do you really feel like TCU could win this game? Like, I mean, really, take your Michigan hat off for a second and just, do you really?
Yeah, you know why I think they could? Because Max Duggan is such a baller and he's got such a fucking heart of gold. Like he won't quit.
Yeah, he's got to throw for 400 and like 4 touchdowns.
He won't. Well, you know what the problem is? I wish we had Blake in this game, dude. If we had Blake in this game, I'd feel so confident because I think this two-headed monster would just run him down their throat.
Yeah.
Donovan's going to get tired, and I don't know if we have a backup that's as good as Donovan as a backup, obviously. So, but JJ in the run game has helped. They let him open up a little bit more in the Ohio State game and the Big Ten championship game. So that'll all help, with their run game. And then he's really good on the run, throwing a ball. TCU's defense isn't. They say that's like the weakest aspect of like these 4 teams is TCU's defense. But dude, listen, you're in it. You got a shot. Sonny Dykes is a good coach. He's getting a little mouthy though. He's like, "Oh, if we stop Michigan's run game, we'll win."
That's a huge 2-letter word though.
Yeah, calm down.
If is a huge in that case specifically.
Right. So,
since nobody did all season.
Listen. I'll put it this way. I'm obviously more confident this year than I was against Georgia last year.
Sure.
It was a bad matchup for us. I think that was the first time in. Being in it again a year later with a lot of the same guys and a lot of experience, and now it's more of a business trip than like a celebration, as I think last year was.
Yes.
That helps.
I agree.
That helps.
I agree on everything you just said. 93 in the books, my man.
93. I got 5 for you. We'll start one with a hockey player.
Oh,
New York Rangers center and a phenomenal name, Mika Zibanejad. Number 4, 2017 All-Pro, 6-time Pro Bowler. It's 2017 Walter Payton Man of the Year. 2010 All-Decade, former Cardinal, Jaguar, and current Raven defensive tackle, very underrated player, Calais Campbell.
Yes.
Number 3, 3-time Super Bowl champion, 3-time All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler, 2000 All-Decade, former Patriot, Raider, Hall of Fame defensive lineman, and a nemesis for Peter, Richard Seymour.
Great.
Number 2, Super Bowl champion, 3-time All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler, another 2000 All-Decade team, former Colt Charger, among others, defensive end Dwight Freeney.
Great player.
And number 1, one of the greatest players in NFL history, in my opinion. This guy was mean, and he had the eye black on, just scary player. 6-time All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler, 1997 sacks leader, college and NFL Hall of Fame, Viking and Seahawks defensive tackle.
What the hell is his name? I don't remember.
John Randall.
John Randall. I knew it was Randall, but I was like, is that his first name? Shit. Good one. Nice list.
Thanks, bud.
So I usually come up and with this segment, I like to have some like strange news, like stuff that you can't believe. And I do have something that you kind of can't believe, but it's actually in the sports world. I don't know that's like, can't believe it, like unusual, like somebody lost an eyeball while shooting a free throw or something like that. But if you were to look at college basketball, Scotty, and I said to you, like, who are the traditional blue bloods? You know, like the teams that you expect to be top 5, top 10,
Duke, Kentucky, Kansas, UCLA,
North Carolina,
yeah.
Right? Those are your teams, right? Let me give you the AP top 10.
Can I guess?
Yes, go ahead.
Because I haven't really followed college basketball yet. I know Purdue's having a good year.
They're number 1.
UConn.
Number 2, both undefeated. Only 2 undefeated teams.
Houston.
Number 3, you're killing it.
This is where it gets shady. Indiana.
Nope.
Gonzaga
comes in at number 10. Now, they're kind of one of the newer blue bloods, but usually they're 1, 2, or 3. So they come in at 10 and 3.
Okay, let's go.
And they're on a 5-game winning streak. So they were 5 and 3 at one point, by the way.
Oh, wow. Alabama?
Alabama comes in at number 8. Good call there.
USC?
Nope.
Michigan State.
Nope. I'm telling you.
I'm out. Go ahead.
All right, so you mentioned Purdue as number 1. I don't know the last time I don't know that Purdue's ever been number 1 in the country. They're number 1 in the country this year right now.
That guy can coach, dude.
Connecticut is number 2. They haven't been now. They're back in the 90s, they in early 2000s they were one of the top teams, but they haven't been a great team in a while. They're there. Houston at number 3. We got Kansas at number 4. Maybe the only true blue blood that's still in that list. Arizona at number 5. Texas at number 6. Tennessee at number 7.
Oh, wow.
Alabama at number 8. Arkansas at 11 and 1. They're number 9. Gonzaga 10. You mentioned UCLA. They fall in at number 11. Okay. Where the hell are those other teams, right? You mentioned Michigan State. I don't even have them. I don't have Michigan State in the top 25. Baylor coming in at number 12. This is a national championship team just a couple years ago. They're coming in
Yeah.
at number 12. Where's Duke? Duke is 10-3 right now at 17.
Wow.
They're the 17th ranked team in the country.
Where's North Carolina?
Where's North Carolina, you asked? I don't know if you noticed, realize this. North Carolina at one point in the beginning of the season was ranked number 1.
Yeah.
They were number 1 ranked team. They went on like a 4-game losing streak. They lost 4 straight games. And they're 25 right now, and that's actually good. They were out of the top 25 last week.
Wow.
They just moved back in. So it's rough. And then I got Kentucky here at 19. They're 8-3.
Weird.
Like now, and you mentioned Indiana. Indiana's 10-3. They're at number 16. So it's amazing. There's a lot of SEC teams. Now the SEC has not been known, other than Kentucky, has not been known for like great basketball. You got Kentucky's
Alabama,
in there, Auburn's
Arkansas.
in there, Mississippi State is in there. I had mentioned in the top 10.
Yeah, Bama and Arkansas.
You had Tennessee, Bama, Arkansas. So
yeah, wow.
Yeah, big SEC is really showing up in the top 25 this year so far. I will say, as we know, these are kind of like, it's not the preseason, but it's the non-conference season before the new year. After the new year, conference play starts. We'll see how things go. But it is interesting. Duke, new coach. NC doesn't have one of the big name coaches. You know, it's very interesting. Some of the blue bloods take a step back. How important Krzyzewski and some of these coaches are. It really is something else. So I just thought that was kind of strange to see.
Yeah.
You don't have Kentucky, Duke, or North Carolina even sniffing the top 10 right now. That could change. And it probably will change.
Right.
But right now, they're not even sniffing the top 10. So pretty interesting.
Interesting. I like it. Yeah, I'll probably start tuning in now a little bit now when the new year comes in and football slows down.
It'll be more interesting. Yeah. Plus, it's so fun to bet on college basketball. It's great.
Oh, yeah. It's nerve-wracking. You don't tune in until the last 2 minutes.
That's it. Don't forget, you got that Ole Miss. If you catch this right away, you got that Ole Miss Texas Tech game tonight. Should be a lot of fun. For Scott Bracey, I'm Pete Colasano. You've been listening to Bump and Run. We'll catch you guys next week.
Happy New Year, everybody. Be safe. Later.
Happy motherfucking New Year.
Excellent, brother.
And we're out. Cool.
Good call getting this done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now
It's great.
and then,
Nice and early.
Yeah.
I have a doctor's appointment at 4:30, so I totally forgot about until this.
Oh,
I woke up this morning. I'm like, fuck. So yeah. Anyway, I'm good.
Well, hope everything's all right. Good luck.
Yeah, I had some little things taken off, and they just wanted
dermatologist
like
thing.
Moles.
Yeah.
They were like moles. That one of them scared me. I had one on my chest that was like I don't remember seeing.
Yeah, I should probably.
And it was pretty dark, and I was like, but I got the results back. Everything's fine. They just want to take when they tested them, they're not cancerous, but I think they just want to look at the spots. So I got to go and get that checked out.
Yeah, good luck,
but I should have this done pretty early.
Awesome. Love it.
All right, dude. Talk to you later.
Talk to you later, bro.